On July 12, 2025, China is engulfed in its worst flooding crisis in decades. From the bustling streets of Beijing to remote villages in Sichuan, from the sunflower fields of Wuyuan to the ancient towns of Shanxi, the nation is grappling with nature's wrath compounded by human failures. Unannounced dam releases crumbling infrastructure, and the Chinese Communist Party's CCP iron-fisted censorship have transformed a natural disaster into a full-blown economic, social, and political crisis. Below is a harrowing portrait of a nation battling floodwaters, hidden truths, and the desperate cries of millions. Devastating floods. Nature's fury unleashed. On the morning of July 10, 2025, Beijing awoke to howling winds and torrential rain. Over 88 millimeters of rain fell in just 2 hours, turning Chang'an Avenue into a muddy river. Cars stalled, shops flooded, and residents waded through waist-deep water with despair in their eyes. Heart-wrenching images flooded social media, a mother carrying her child through rushing waters, an elderly man trembling with his cane amid the storm, a stark reminder of humanity's fragility against nature. But Beijing was not alone. In Xiamen, 343.9 millimeters of rain fell over 3 days, submerging major roads like Hubin South Road and Lianqian Creek under more than 20 centimeters of water. Cars were submerged up to their roofs and traffic slowed to a crawl, averaging just 30.08 km/h during rush hour. Netizens bitterly dubbed Xiamen a city floating on the sea as rescue workers struggled with the city's inadequate drainage system. In Wuyuan County, Inner Mongolia, hailstones the size of eggs and 150 millimeters of rain turned the region's iconic sunflower fields into a sea of mud. Farmers stood in silence watching a year's worth of crops vanish, their hearts heavy with loss. Unannounced dam releases a silent crime. At the heart of the 2025 disaster lies a sinister truth. Unannounced dam releases, particularly from the Three Gorges Dam, once a celebrated feat of engineering, now a deadly threat. On July 16th, the dam opened 11 floodgates, releasing 52,000 cubic meters of water per second downstream, pushing Dongting Lake and Poyang Lake to critical levels. In Xiangfen County, Hubei water levels surged by over 2.5 meters after 350 millimeters of rain combined with sudden dam discharges. Over 18,000 people were evacuated, leaving behind homes, businesses, and livelihoods swept away by the flood. In Xialuo Town, Sichuan, the tragedy was even more heart-wrenching. In the dead of night, an upstream dam released water without warning. No sirens, no evacuation orders, no communication. Floodwaters rushed into homes, barns, and storage rooms, washing everything away. One farmer lost over 40 pigs in minutes, while a father barely managed to carry his child to the rooftop, watching helplessly as his wife was trapped in the bathroom. Why did they release the water at night? Why no warning? The people of Xialuo cried out, but their questions went unanswered. Homes were reduced to rooftops, poking out of the dark waters like graves in a sea of despair. In Shanxi, the ancient town of Manquan was engulfed by flash floods in just 20 minutes. Thick mud swept away refrigerators, furniture, and the town's cultural heritage. While officials reported no casualties, the material losses were immeasurable. Residents climbed onto rooftops, awaiting rescue in fear, as videos circulating online showed cars buried in mud like toys. Catastrophic losses. A nation in ruins. The 2025 floods have left a trail of devastation across China. In Xiangfen, over 200 shops and 100 vehicles were submerged, with damages estimated in the millions of yuan. Ms. Leah, herbal medicine shop owner, wept as her life's work was destroyed overnight. In Dalian, Liaoning, 146.5 mm of rain over 3 days turned underground parking lots into lakes, with fish swimming into residential elevators. A blogger called it the most terrifying rain in Dalian's history, as residents climbed onto car roofs to call for help. In Liangjiang County, Guizhou flash floods swept away homes with allegations that authorities concealed the true death toll. Mr. Li, a survivor, claimed 2 bodies were found in a supermarket parking lot, but the information was suppressed. In Wuyuan, the sunflower fields, a lifeline for thousands of farmers, were obliterated by hail and floods. An 80s generation farmer lamented, "We toiled alongside our parents to plant and harvest. But this year, when the harvest was near, all we have left is mud." The economic toll extends beyond personal losses. In Chengdu, floodwaters inundated subway stations and high-tech zones, submerging dozens of vehicles and paralyzing traffic. Dam releases from hydropower plants like Dushu in Hunan swept away crops, fish cages, and marinas, devastating agriculture and tourism. Estimated damages in some areas exceed 3 million yuan, but government compensation plans are woefully inadequate, offering little solace for lives and livelihoods lost. Failing infrastructure. A man-made disaster. The 2025 floods are not just nature's doing, but a consequence of poor management and crumbling infrastructure. Flood defenses in regions from Sichuan to Henan, built with substandard materials, buckled under the pressure. In Xinwen County, Sichuan newly built riverbank railings cracked, cement peeled away, and so-called engineered flood barriers were little more than fragile dirt and stone. A local resident asked bitterly, "This dirt crumbles in your hand. How could it be used to build a dam?" In Xiamen, the city's outdated drainage system failed to cope with heavy rain. Netizens mocked the city as Mudanjiang's annual swim, with roads turning into rivers and cars submerged up to their roofs. Authorities deployed over 300 rescue workers and 50 water-pumping vehicles, but receding waters were slowed by tidal influences, leaving the city in chaos. "Every big rain Xiamen floats," one resident quipped. The Three Gorges Dam. The world's largest hydropower project epitomizes these engineering failures. Water level fluctuations between 145 and 175 meters have cracked clay soil, triggering landslides along reservoir banks. Dr. Wang Weiluo, a water expert, revealed that dam releases are often done covertly, sometimes at midnight, to protect the reservoir and evade accountability. "They sacrifice downstream communities to save upstream," he said. Villages in Hubei and Hunan were submerged, leaving thousands homeless and destitute. The CCP's secret censorship and propaganda. Behind the floodwaters lies a relentless propaganda machine. The CCP tightly controls information about dam safety, casualty figures, and water levels. Live streams exposing dam releases are swiftly removed, while senior officials like Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing remain absent from disaster zones. Commentator Li Lingyi noted that since Xi Jinping's rise, leaders no longer visit flood-hit areas as they once did. "They only show up when the waters recede for photo ops," she said. Relief efforts are often performative, with central teams handing out instant noodles and small cash envelopes like alms. In Nanyang, Henan, authorities initially denied releasing water from the Yahao Reservoir, only admitting it under public pressure. Dr. Wang Weiluo called China's flood risks a gray rhino, obvious dangers ignored. With nearly 100,000 reservoirs nationwide, at least 40% are unsafe due to hasty construction and lax inspections. A government not elected by the people doesn't prioritize their interests, he said. Climate scientist Peter Gleich emphasized the enormous environmental damage from the Three Gorges Dam, while Michael Oslin from the Hoover Institution warned that a major dam failure could be a fatal blow to the CCP's legitimacy. Yet instead of releasing transparent data or improving infrastructure, the government focuses on suppressing information, downplaying the disaster's scale, and blaming rare storms. Social anguish. Silent cries for help. The 2025 floods have ignited public outrage, but voices are often silenced. In Liangjiang, Guizhou residents accused authorities of hiding the true death toll. "They call it a natural disaster to dodge responsibility," said Mr. Li, a survivor. In Baoji, Shanxi, Ms. Liu fumed. They let the river swallow our homes to save their dam. Images of officials in life vests posing on rubber boats in shallow water were mocked online as rescue theater. In Wuyuan, a farmer stood amid his flooded sunflower fields, choking back tears. We're farmers' children working the land with our parents. This year all we have is despair. In Xiamen, a netizen lamented, "My newly built basketball court is gone. Brand new equipment all lost." Personal stories like Ms. Chen in Xiangfen watching her new car swept away, or Ms. Xiao in Nanyang losing 1.5 million yuan in savings reflect the unspoken pain of millions. Trust in the government is eroding. Whispers of opacity spread, while rumors of a tsunami in Dalian on July 5 sparked panic. Though scientists debunked the claims, residents stockpiled supplies and practiced evacuations. "We don't know who to trust," a Dalian resident said. "The government says the dams are safe, but we sleep with one eye open waiting for the flood." The 2025 floods are a stark warning of systemic mismanagement, decaying infrastructure, and the CCP's lack of transparency. Experts urge reform, restoring floodplains, releasing real-time dam data, upgrading urban drainage, and compensating affected families. Only transparent data can rebuild trust. Dr. Wang Weiluo stressed. Yet conflicting interests, cheap electricity, fish farm leases, and lakefront tourism continue to sideline long-term safety. From Wuyuan's farmers to Xiangfen's shopkeepers, the Chinese people are pleading for support and action. They need lasting solutions to survive each rainy season. Social media voices, from videos of floodwaters sweeping away homes to prayers amid muddy fields, bear witness to the disaster's scale. Share your story to let the world know the losses China's people are enduring. Subscribe and follow for updates on this spiraling crisis. We are committed to uncovering the truth, amplifying the voices of the affected, and exposing the secrets the CCP seeks to hide. China in 2025 is not the prosperous image touted by state media. It is a nation of thousands, wading through Beijing's floodwaters villages, submerged in Sichuan cries for help in the night from downstream communities, and tens of thousands left homeless, landless, and hopeless. Floods, unannounced, dam releases, and CCP censorship have painted a grim picture of a country facing a multidimensional crisis. The rains will fall again, the floods will return, but the most pressing question lingers. Who will protect the people before all is lost to silence once more? Man-made disasters, the Three Gorges Dam, and a nightmarish flood season. The summer of 2025 marks a dark chapter in China's history, as torrential rains transform central and southern provinces into vast expanses of water. Before the flood season even began, disaster struck, with 329 rivers exceeding danger levels by July 4th. But this is not merely nature's wrath. It is the fallout of human hubris, centered on the Three Gorges Dam, once touted by the CCP as an invincible feat of engineering. Completed in 2003 with promises of taming once-in-a-millennium floods, the dam has become a deadly liability. Officials were forced to open 11 spillways, releasing 44,000 cubic meters of water per second, enough to submerge Hangzhou's West Lake countless times. They called it a technical necessity, but locals whisper of man-made floods, prioritizing industrial hubs upstream while sacrificing rural downstream communities. Dr. Wang Weiluo, a hydraulic engineer involved in the project, has long warned that the Three Gorges Dam was designed not for flood control, but as a profit-driven hydropower machine, funneling wealth to coastal elites. The reservoir was kept dangerously high before the rainy season, eliminating safety buffers and triggering panic when heavy rains arrived. China's nearly 100,000 aging reservoirs, many poorly maintained, exacerbate the crisis, with sudden midnight water releases sweeping away villages without warning. The Three Gorges Dam itself is showing cracks. Beijing admits to minor shifts, but independent experts report deep fissures, a 30-fold increase in seismic activity, and even NASA confirming the dam's weight has altered Earth's rotation. To build it, 1.3 million people were displaced, 13 cities submerged, and cultural heritage erased, while profits flowed to Shanghai and Beijing. History repeats itself chillingly. The 1975 Banqiao Dam collapse killed 230,000 people, a tragedy hidden for decades. Now, if the Three Gorges Dam fails, due to mismanagement or natural disaster, the consequences could dwarf that catastrophe, potentially shaking the CCP's foundations. Michael Oslin of the Hoover Institution warns, if the dam collapses, so does the regime. On June 29th, heavy rains in Sichuan led to water releases from the Zipingpu Reservoir, flooding Chengdu. By July 3rd, entire residential areas were submerged. Beijing has deployed troops around the dam but remains silent on the true death toll, cloaked in heavy censorship.